What's up? What's up, everybody? Armchair Quarterbacks here for another Week 6 recap. Sunday night. This one we've got My Chubb is Broken versus Cup My Team Into Pieces. That is Manny versus Daniel. Taking a look here, Manny has 2 players remaining and Daniel has 1 player remaining. Manny currently has 48.84 to Daniel's 76.60. So for Sunday, Manny started Matt Stafford, Calvin Ridley, Joe Mixon, Rashad White, TJ Hawkinson, and Nico Collins. Taking a look here at Manny's team, Shawn, what do you think is going wrong? What do you think might help to go right here with him?
So Matt Stafford, that one's really, we saw it was Kyron Williams, right? They couldn't get anything going on the passing in terms of touchdowns, any big plays.
Yeah.
I think they had a few, but realistically, it wasn't until they got the rushing and the run game going that they were able to open up something like the Cooper Kupp touchdown. So Matt Stafford here, he's always been a safe player, but never really a ceiling player, just because he doesn't offer that rushing ability.
Mm-hmm.
Even my boy Josh Allen, he hasn't really been rushing. They've made him into more of a pocket, and then, obviously because they don't want him to get hurt. Even, Lamar Jackson runs a little bit more, but that's because he doesn't have the same wide receivers that my boy has, Josh Allen.
What's crazy?
Looking at those guys.
Well, what's crazy is taking a look at Matt Stafford's stat line here. We're talking about how the Rams needed to include Kyron Williams a little bit more in the run game. I didn't see that Matt Stafford only had 24 pass attempts in the entire game. That is low.
They didn't do anything, and it was. I remember at one point I put on Reddit, man, these games suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like the afternoon games, the 105 slot, the 125 slot, those games were terrible.
Yeah, they definitely were.
And I was really surprised that, we said it. Kyron Williams only had 2 rush attempts, 4 yards in 2 quarters. And it's like Sean McVay, I know he's a smart quarterback, but sometimes, he's a smart coach and play caller. But sometimes these guys either get in their head, they're too smart for their own good, or maybe they're just too prideful. And really, when they went back to the running, it was, that was it. They just went down, boom, 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 4 rush yards, all the first downs. They take up all the time in the third quarter, go down, score the touchdown. Now you're really controlling game flow. You're managing the clock. And that's what I kind of thought they were going to do in the first half. I know a lot of the analysts were looking at Arizona's run D, even though they've been playing pretty decent. Everyone thought it was going to be a Kyron Williams game, and it turned out to be that way. I thought that they would have started that in the first quarter, which would have opened up the passing game a lot more.
Yeah, agreed.
So it didn't. So I think that one, it was just weird play calling and adjustments that Sean McVay had to make. You'll see that bump up right there. Maybe look for, you could look for a different quarterback if you really wanted to on the waiver wire. It's only a 10-team league, so there's going to be other options there.
Yeah, he does have Jordan Love on his bench, who is on a bye. And Jordan Love coming off of the bye next week is playing up against your boys in Denver. So, might want to go that route.
especially if Aaron Jones isn't even healthy yet. That's going to be all passing. They could run. We saw what AJ Dillon did to Las Vegas last week, so they could do the same thing to my Broncos. But it'll definitely be, there's going to be touchdowns there to score for.
Yeah. And what's weird and crazy is I was looking at our league and like kind of seeing where everybody's at, who scored what. It's looking like, as of right now, at least, maybe the bottom 4 or 5 teams, they've, at least this week and last week, they've had a lot of kind of very disappointing outputs from their players. not just like one or two players, but like a majority of their team. It feels like, and
Yeah, like
I feel like that's kind of where I started the season,
mhm,
and then after a little while, I made a couple moves here. It's picked up Devon Achan here and
mhm.
there, but there were some moves that ended up happening, and a lot of my players started, you know, producing a lot better. So I
Mhm.
think as long as you keep playing through these guys, and we've said it before, when your player is in a slump, the only way to
Mhm.
the only way to get out of the slump is just to keep going. You can't stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's I said it at the draft when we were drafting, and even afterwards. It's a marathon, not a race. In my other leagues that I've co-managed, um, some of the easiest makes for the playoffs is because people get bored or they just quit.
Hmm.
You know, which is really wild to think about. But even with this injury here that Manny lost Nick Chubb, CD Lamb, I think they'll pick it up here. At least this spot here is really good. Um, and that should be a high scoring game, I would think. The Calvin Ridley one, that one's going to be up and down. Um, it looks like, I don't know if he's struggling with press coverage or anything like that, but that's been up and down. So, and then Mixon, if we could just get Joe Burrow to be healthy, Mixon will eventually, I think he picks it up. I think Higgins, if they don't trade him at the deadline, I think he kind of gets phased out, which is sad for me, but he's not going to be healthy this entire season. He said it that he's going to need off-season stuff.
Yeah.
So Nico Collins here was a solid ad here. I think you'll see bigger games from him. A touchdown here, and you're looking at 16 points plus. So um, he's got a decent team here. You just got either through trades or the waiver wire if anything pops up. We'll be getting buys, so people will be dropping players if they're really trying.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, so let's take a look at Daniel's team over here. He started Joe Burrow, Chris Olave, Jerry Jeudy, James Cook, Saquon Barkley, George Kittle, and Cooper Kupp. And he currently has Tony Pollard left to play tomorrow. So what did you see with Daniel's team here?
The big one, I was kind of joking, saying that every year we get the annual Kittle game, and he'll go off for like 35, 40 points, and then regress to the mean where he gets like
Drop off
3
the
points,
face. Yeah.
5 points. So here, like one reception for one receiving yard. Um, so that's kind of, I mean, with all the tight ends, no matter how high, if it's not Kelsey, there's a reason why Kelsey ends up going in the first round, you know, this year even higher. I think he was like 7, 8 for some people,
Mm-hmm.
for some of the analysts versus the second round in previous years. So I would say the biggest thing here is Olave has been pretty solid here. Really good game here. If he had a touchdown, this would have been a great game. So Olave was kind of a buy low candidate for a little while. It really just depends on if Daniel wanted to trade that for maybe some depth pieces instead,
Mm-hmm.
just to have more players. James Cook, he had a decent stat line here. It was kind of a boring game, or not boring game. It was just really low for fantasy, really low output. The really good thing is Saquon Barkley. You saw his usage how slowly during the game as they needed him more. They really started to amp up his usage, and it was less Breda. Matt Breda was still used, but 93 rushing yards, 4 receiving, 5 receiving yards, 4 receptions and 5 receiving yards. Really solid here. That's just it sucks if you own anyone on the Giants because you're not really going to be getting those touchdowns. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other thing too with Saquon Barkley, which was very surprising for me to see. First of all, on the broadcast, they were talking about the Giants' offensive line not being so great. They're very banged up. They're allowing a lot of pressures, allowing a lot of sacks on the quarterback.
Oh, they're
So,
terrible. They're like the
oh yeah,
bottom. Like I think it was like, yeah, first and second place in terms of worst everything, pressures,
yes,
tackles.
yeah, they've not been good. So that correlates to everything: the pass game, the rush game.
Mhm.
However, the good thing that I saw with Saquon Barkley is I did see a few plays tonight where he was able to break off for like a 15-yarder, 20-yarder. You know,
No,
so
yeah, they found what worked in terms of rushing
yeah,
versus, you know, um, holding longer for Tyrod Taylor to try and get a pass off.
yes, yeah. So I think if I mean, really, the only thing you can do here with Saquon Barkley, unless you trade him,
Hmm.
is to again just keep playing him and just hope that eventually New York gets healthy. They will get healthy. It's just how soon will they get healthy? You hope for sooner rather than later because a lot of their starting offensive linemen they're out right now, so that's why their offensive line is very bad.
Hmm.
All right, so let's take a
So
look here. Um, did you have anything else with his starters?
I was just gonna say, Cooper Cup, you're gonna continue to start him. That was great value for Daniel there to pick him
Mm-hmm.
up. I think it was I think he picked him up kind of early. I think it was third or fourth. I probably would have waited a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's panning out okay. Um, the one thing I'll say about the bench here, and you'll probably say the same thing, is Zach Moss is still getting work here, even with Jonathan Taylor, kind of being phased back in.
Yep.
So
Yeah. No, you hit it right on the nail there. That's exactly what I was gonna bring up. Zach Moss still pretty efficient. At least in terms of the receiving game today, he wasn't as efficient with the run game. But
mhm.
again, we've seen Jacksonville be pretty good up against the run. Yeah, but other than that, um, bench is looking pretty decent in terms of depth pieces for any players that you might want to replace.
I'll just
Um,
I'll just say really quick, because I'm a Bronco fan.
hmm,
Get Jerry Judy out of here. I don't know if any of you guys watched those clips I was sending. Jerry Judy is gone.
uh,
Bronco country fans do not like this dude. This kid
yeah.
is too immature. Um, he'll probably be traded at the deadline, if not in the offseason. Even all the analysts are just grilling him for going after. This guy thinks he could talk smack on a lot of the old heads, as he says, the
Hmm.
older guys. And it's like he's making fun of my boy Mark Schlereth, the dude that was protecting John Elway for his 2 Super Bowls with Mike Shanahan.
Steve Smith Sr.,
And
the guy that he had that issue
oh my
with,
gosh,
he's a Hall of
ooh,
Famer, right? I'm pretty sure he's
yeah,
a
I
Hall of
mean,
Famer.
oh yeah, dude. I mean, dude, you look at Jerry Judy, and Mark Schlereth goes, he is not worth one drop of piss.
Yep.
You know, for these guys that are, you know, Mark Schlereth has more playoff wins than Jerry does starts.
Yeah.
Jerry Judy does starts. So, I mean,
Yeah.
a little rant there, but I'm gonna say we talked about Zach Moss. You could probably put Cooper Cup here into the wide receiver slot, because Chris Olave and Cooper Cup are your two main dudes. You take Jerry Judy out just for a tip, and now you have this your flex spots. So your
Mhm.
flex spots probably going to look like James Cook, probably Zach Moss, but you could supplement right at the waiver wire.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So it looks like here, CeeDee Lamb, Josh Palmer. It's a possibility that Manny overcomes if Tony Pollard doesn't get anything going. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a pretty even game back and forth. But either way, good luck to you both. Bottom bottom four teams. So a win here for either of you is really, really going to help.
Yep.
All right. So we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.